And Will, it strikes me that Akamai is infrastructure as a service, largely. How are you partnering then with let's call it the application layer? Because I think one of the challenges, and I can just even imagine that there's somebody, more than one person, I'm sure, is listening to this discussion right now and says, wow, absolutely. I would love more efficient ways to encode my video. Wow, it would be amazing to get away from the high egress cost of public cloud and some of the other, the cost factors around the traditional public cloud. So I would love to, consider Akamai. But I basically have a workflow that is a combination of I'm buying pieces. Maybe my other provider, my other platform is able to bring kind of a more of an end to end or a complete solution. So what do I do? So how is Akamai looking at this in terms of providing more solutions to make it easier for
So
someone to
if you
adopt?
if you've followed Akamai back since 1998 and media, there was a point probably in about 2010 where we were trying to build every solution you could possibly need in the media space.
I
It was
remember
branded
those years.
solar media, it had orange everywhere, and we had a big diagram and we had all these blocks, and we were intent on filling in all the blocks. So
Yeah.
you could do satellite ingest, you could do encoding, transcoding, speech, ad insertion, pretty much all the stuff Scalstrm does today, plus more, and had players, and we were trying to do it all. And we did not succeed in doing every little bit of it. We did part of it. And the challenge there is if you do part of it, your customers are still forced to go out and fill the blocks in, right? They're forced to become what Joe is, which is a systems integrator. They have to put pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
So our new approach, I think, is far more sustainable. We want to sell infrastructure. We want to sell a place for you to run compute workloads. And then we partner with companies who are much better at doing the things that we try to do, like Scalstrm being an example. So we have a whole environment. We have a program of these trusted partners. People are known to work well on our platform, are integrated, who offer support for getting up on our platform. And when you combine these together, yes, you can start now, have all the pathways you want from a media workflow that might be an off-the-shelf end-to-end solution in a public cloud. You can now recreate that, but in a far more flexible way.
Yeah.
I'm also seeing a trend. I think if you know the CDN space, multi-CDN has been a thing for 10 years. It makes a lot of sense. Not every CDN is perfect all the time. So as the cost goes down, I get more CDNs and I combine them as a system and I get reliability out of that group. And this is how CDNs work today. I think the same is going to work for cloud infrastructure. People are very much monocloud today, and there's a risk that cloud can have a problem. It's not the best all the time, everywhere. And workloads have been sticky. Cloud providers try to hook you with a solution. Maybe it's the database entry, or maybe it's backup or storage or cold storage that only they have. So now you're stuck with them, and then they can raise egress fees, and you're still stuck with them. So people are starting to design cloud solutions for portability. Basically, if it's Kubernetes, that's all I want. I will take care of everything myself. And now I have the freedom to both port it for price, but more importantly, duplicate it for reliability. So I can run in 3 clouds, the same code, the same software. They're all well encapsulated, and I get higher overall product reliability from that than I do running it in a single cloud. So I see that as a definite trend, and that's something Akamai is trying to accommodate. It's very easy to enter our cloud solution. It's very easy to leave it, but we think that is the future of cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really happy to be working with Akamai because one of the very practical hurdles that we ran into, and I think every hardware vendor runs into this, is so, it's relatively easy. Actually, it's very easy to ship a card. I mean, our VPUs are U.2 PCIe. You say, hey, what's your office address? Okay, ship it here. You ship it. Somebody goes in the lab, they open a machine, they pop it in, they run some, they start testing it, right? So we found it was very easy to kind of get through the initial, I'd call it the validation phase. Validation, like, does this thing actually produce quality that's even remotely acceptable? Which is the very first thing, regardless of software or hardware and encoder, like, you have to validate it. And then, of course, there's a lot of much more stringent tests that follow. But where we ran into just incredible hurdles, and with the largest streaming services, where you would assume, like, oh, surely they have multiple labs, they have, sort of walled gardens, or, like they're prepared to do this level of testing. And we found that they weren't. They weren't. And so when it came time to be like, hey, we like your quality, and we'd be like, awesome, so now, like, let's get into a POC. And they're like, we don't know how to do that. Like, we literally don't have a way to do it, and this happened time and time. And, and after a while you sort of scratch your head and go, wow, okay. So it's really great to have, a network like Akamai, where it's sitting right there. You can easily spin up a VM, like you say, Will. It is so easy to access, and this will be the extent of sort of my, my sales pitch, my plug in this particular episode. But really, if anybody's listening and you've just wanted to dabble, you're intrigued, but it's like, okay, I've tested in my lab, but I kind of actually want to put some streams, like, sort of through the network, maybe not fully in production, but it's easy to do it. And I know Akamai, is very generous, even with, I think, a little bit of, initial help there. But so, Will, I am curious about a topic that I know is near and dear to your heart. You spend a lot of time talking about media over quick, and low latency and live. And there's something that there's a trend that clearly is occurring, and that is the old days of sort of, I run a VOD workflow, and then I have my live, so I sort of have these two systems running. It appears to me, and so I'm asking a question here, are we seeing a convergence where really streaming is just moving to effectively a live topology? What are what are you seeing? And then, I'll let you then talk more about, a little bit of your work around, mock and, low latency and things like that.